September 1st, 2023. The goats are going to arrive any day. So what I'm going to do is take a look at all the green, specifically the native green. It's pretty much the only thing green at this time of year are native plants that are able to handle the harsh conditions that are around here. This is one of the areas that I've tried to help out, and the goats come in and destroy what I try to do. So for everyone saying that the goats do good things, we're just going to do a thorough before and after. One plant that you'll see a lot of is the Pacific poison oak. It's going to be in various colors. Sometimes it'll look like a sapling, sometimes it'll look like a vine, sometimes it'll look like a shrub, but it is native and it is beneficial to wildlife. Don't worry, I'm immune to it, for those of you freaking out that I'm touching it. This is supposedly Hooker's Evening Primrose, which if it is, that's really exciting because I've never seen it. But I did try to introduce it about 2 years ago, and then the goats came through and killed it. But maybe it had a chance to seed. I don't know. But it's not going to be here next month, which is what's really sad. You know, this was a good year for rain. We've seen some native plants try to take advantage of that, and the livestock are going to come through and bring all that good effort to an end. Here we have something called smartweed, and that is also native. There are several smartweeds native to California. I'm honestly not quite sure if this is water smartweed, pepperweed, or another one. They are all native. In addition to the plant not being able to accomplish what it's meant to accomplish, if it's consumed too soon, I also won't be able to take advantage of other characteristics such as its flowers in order to better identify it. Northern California black walnut, and you see these draping type of branches. Just use your imagination to think of the various critters that appreciate a draping branch. You know, trees have all kinds of shapes and sizes. You've got your pines that go straight up and keep their branches straight up, and you've got the extremely long canopies of oak trees, and then you got this, which has got these hanging branches. This is all going to be stripped bare. Now I gotta imagine that this would provide some nice shade during the hot months that are still to come. And yes, summer is coming to an end, but that does not mean that the hot months are coming to an end, unfortunately. And what I don't see happening out here is this actually producing. So I wonder if this is the year that it might actually be able to produce. And a question I haven't answered, but I think is worth looking into, is how much does having your branches stripped bare every year prevent the tree from actually ever producing? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Here we have a web-covered coast live oak growing out of death. Apparently, life is in death. This strong plant here is sedge, maybe a slough sedge. I'm not that confident with my sedges, but most of the sedges you find here are native. In any case, it's green. It'll provide some forage. It'll certainly provide some cover. Unfortunately, this is going to be gone. Got some more of it over here. All right, I might as well take a look at some of the non-natives, which you should note are the ones that are the fire fuel. Dogtail grass, Italian thistle. They're always nasty. They're not fun to encounter. They're not fun for you to encounter. They're not good for your dog to encounter. Here we have the spreading hedge parsley, which I absolutely hate. I absolutely hate it. I've got some on me right now. It's always going to attach to you. And again, the green next to it, native Pacific poison oak. It does not matter if you personally don't like Pacific poison oak. It's not here for you. It's here for the wildlife. It's here because nature selected it to be here. Right up the bank from the sedge, you see some of this. You see it spread out all over the place. And this is curly dock, which is not supposed to be here. And it's not as dead looking as some of the other stuff, but it's definitely on its way out. Oh boy, here's a favorite. Also dead, also invasive. And we have a non-native showing some color, and that would be mustard. Not supposed to be here, but it's one of those that will randomly grow throughout the year, so you can't pinpoint it down to being dead at the same time that the other annuals usually are dead. Panning down from the curly dock and the Italian thistle and all that disaster up there, we actually have a couple of cases of pennyroyal. Here's a bigger one. I love this plant. It smells so good. It's in the mint family. I'm always impressed when I find it around here because it's not a terribly tough plant. And these are pretty tough conditions, but it does smell wonderful. And I wish it would survive longer. But it is absolutely going to be gone when the goats come through. Here we have a willow, black willow or Godding's willow, native, very important to wildlife. This is just going to be utterly annihilated. It's not just going to be stripped bare, it's just going to be freaking annihilated. It's sad that I've seen this enough years that I know exactly what's going to happen to which plants, and yet everyone else who does not take the time to come down here and observe what's happening are the ones who are going to declare to you, oh no, everything's fine, everything's good, we've been carefully monitoring it. Yeah, right. As I walk up to here, we have another oak tree. Looks like a valley oak. You can tell the leaves are quite different than the live oaks. More sedge heading up there. That's all going to be gone. I think in the past I've seen like tiny bits of it remain. You know, in addition to shelter, in addition to food, in addition to temperature control, you've got erosion control. You've got the bank stabilization that the roots of healthy, strong plants, look how strong these are. You got the carbon sequestration for these deep-rooted, strong plants. Just ruined through livestock grazing. Here we have one common cocklebur growing down here. Nope, two. Now I have found these in the banks a lot, so I would expect to see more. This isn't as attractive as it was earlier in the year, but this is flat sedge, I believe. Also native, and also will be gone. We got more of what I think is Mexican tea. Forgive me if I'm not correct. Either way, it's going to be gone. It's going to be wiped out. Which, native or not native, it's sad because beggars can't be choosers, and the wildlife here are definitely reduced to being beggars, and the livestock wipe out even the green non-natives. This is horseweed. Sorry, I blinked for a second, and this is native, if I'm not mistaken. But either way, this will be gone. This is just gonna look like a bomb went off. And what really scares me is that now people consider that to be a positive. Like, people prefer a deathscape to any signs of life. Man, we are not the right species to be in charge. All right, so coming out of the creek bed, a lot of that green you see there is Pacific poison oak and saplings of oak trees, saplings of black walnuts, a little bit of sedge. And the takeaway is that this is just gonna look like a bomb went off. Some of this yellow non-native will be consumed, but a massive amount of it will remain. What will be more thoroughly consumed is all the green. And you can hardly blame the goats for that, right? I mean, it's more desirable. Sure, if you leave the goats in an area long enough, they'll get around to eating most things. But I'm sorry, that's hardly a compliment. There's another black walnut that will no longer exist soon. There's no question that this annual stuff is a problem. But the more important point is, are we making progress solving that problem? I thoroughly believe the answer is no. And in the process of failing to get rid of that stuff, we're also hurting the native plants. You know, these lower branches might not be the most lush thing you've ever seen, but they're going to be stripped bare, so it's going to be a lot worse. Some people watching this are going to say something that I consider to be a pretty foolish argument, and that's that, well, if things are so bad, if the goats are so bad, why do these plants still exist? Why do you see the green? I'm like, that's not the role of a plant. You know, the role of a plant is not to finally recover a year after you brought the grazing through to where they're finally at a semi-healthy stage. And the goats are supposed to be a benefit, not a test of survival. You know, proving that the plants can, or at least some of them can, come back following the goat grazing is not a testimony for goat grazing. It's a testimony that the plants are tough. But again, the goats aren't here to see whether or not the plants can survive. It's being advertised as a benefit. What should be happening is that the people who are declaring that this is beneficial and helps restore habitat should be out here doing what I'm doing. They should be assessing the plant population. They should be seeing how the wildlife are responding to the goat grazing. They should be seeing if the number of native plants has increased or decreased, particularly in relation to the non-native plants. I can't fault you for not having complete faith in me, nor should you. But you should at least have some counter evidence. Suppose I should get a few shots going around this side. Wow, look at all that. good sized black walnut. And that'll be gone. Pretty much from there down will be gone. All that greenery will be mostly gone. That'll be gone. No. Get down. Now. Get down. No. Human children sound like wildlife being killed. Here's another thought for you. You see how thick this is? These are all annual invasives. Okay, with this sort of density, how much worse can it get? Meaning, these are already starting to lay down. You know, summer's almost over. They didn't graze this during the most dangerous time of year. So, you know, to come through and do it now, well, it's questionable, to say the least. But if these lay down and remain and are continued to be smashed down with rain throughout the rest of the year, well, what's going to happen next year? Is there going to be even more? Or will they act as a suppressant to their very own species? Look how nice this is. A little tent for the wildlife, if you will. A little hiding place, a little sleeping area. And even with that ugly orange construction fence over there, the foliage almost makes that hard to see. And if you're looking this direction, it's definitely going to make any wildlife within here hard to see. Goats, they take all that away. They are going to remove the ability for wildlife to hide. See this? See this thick green that prevents you from seeing too far down into the creek? That's all going to be ruined. And you might think that that's a good thing, as sick as that is, but I guarantee you the wildlife don't think it's a good thing. Here we have Pacific poison oak in a stage that we don't often get to see, having produced its berries that are now dried. You hear the leaf blowers in the background. That sound really doesn't stop around here. Oh, got some wild turkeys. That's another thing I should mention. Once the goats come, you're not going to see those wild turkeys for months. They scare away all the wildlife. And why not? You know, you got 600 of anything is scary. I'm getting further away from the creek bed itself, but got a couple more plants. This is tall willow herb. It's a native. This will be destroyed by the goats. This is pretty rare to see. We have cocklebur, common cocklebur. Not my favorite plant, but it does turn out that it's native. And yellow flower tarweed is also native. Now this is an interesting one. This is a whole topic to itself. This is one that is such a potent. The smell is so strong that the goats don't like it. Now you leave them fenced in an area long enough and they'll eat it too. Here's what's interesting about that one. Does the city even know? I'm sure if they watch this video, they'll turn around and put together some propaganda that they actually intended for it to happen. The problem is that I see them come through and actually mow this very native weed. So even though the goats don't like it, I'm not going to give the goat grazing program, certainly not the people in charge, credit. Here's some more of that willowwort. Beautiful. More cocklebur. And that's it. That's all the wildlife get. Come out to here. A lot of wildlife do exactly what you see the turkeys do. They gotta come out here to find moisture. Take a good look at this. It's gonna look like a nuclear bomb went off on it. And we're gonna call that a habitat improvement.